Okay, let me greet all of you. Today, today we'll mark our day 7 of the bootcamp. Previously, for the last class, we didn't have that opportunity of interacting with our instructor who was going to take us through Node.js. But today, I wish you that we are going to have an excellent class about the Node.js and. There was a website which you guys were supposed to build up. So today, actually, we are going to start building our backend, and that one will use Node.js. Okay, we have something like Express.js. We have something like Next.js. So don't worry about that. And by just learning Node.js, will open for you very many ways of even know learning, getting to learn about the Express.js and also for the Next.js. Currently, there's Next.js 14 course which I'm yet to finish. If you are interested, you can just view the YouTube video. And oh, please let me greet our instructor, Felix. How are you? Hello, Felix.
There we go.
You're okay.
So I'm gonna open a new file here, basically a new window.
Okay.
There we go. I'm gonna close this one.
Okay. Nice. So,
Select. Yeah.
Felix,
So once I have that,
Felix.
we are going to start from here. Um, Open the terminal. Just create a new project. Uh, CD desktop. NKDL. Node.js classes. There we go. So in this module, in this class, basically we are going to learn about Node.js modules. For instance, we normally have three main modules: the file system module, the URL module, and the HTTP module. Now, all right, there we go. Yeah, so basically, let me just control B there. I want to cd into that folder I just created and open it here. JS classes. Cd JS classes, and then I just open Visual Studio Code inside there. So once I'm inside there, we can start coding. So let me just enlarge my screen a little bit. I think that's okay. So Node.js is an open source server environment and it is free. It can run on various platforms like Windows, Linux, and macOS, etc. So basically, it uses JavaScript and it uses the common JS folder. So what can Node.js
Getting
do? Okay,
in a cluster.
what can
And
Node.js
only
do? There we go. So basically, Node.js, it can generate dynamic code content. It can generate dynamic code content. Node.js can also create open read write. It can do the CRUD operations. It can perform create operations on the server. On the server, it can also collect not form data. Mm, and it can also add, delete, and modify data in a database. Can add, delete, and modify data in the database. So today we are going to be looking at how to install Node.js. So basically, installation of Node.js is pretty simple. For Windows users, you just visit the browser. In the browser, you just download Node.js. There, maybe you just search Node.js, and when you go to the browser, click on that. It will direct you to their official page. So basically, you can download version 20.11, which is recommended for most users, and then we have the current one with the latest features of Node.js. So depending on the operating system that you are on, you can basically do download and install it immediately. For Linux users, you just do sudo. Either for the Ubuntu guys, you'll use apt. For Fedora guys, you'll use dnf, and you just install Node, and it will be there. So we're gonna start with our very first program. We just want to see a simple syntax of our Node.js file. So before I begin, I'm just gonna do in my folder. I'm gonna initialize a Node application here. So I'll just do npm init. So npm init will just basically initialize something like that. It has to see the package name. So in my case, I'm just gonna remain with default, the version 1, default description, just another app. Then the entry point, we need it at index.js. Test command, we don't need that. Git, repo, keywords, author. So you realize that a package.json has been generated for you here. So this is a valid Node application. So I'm just gonna show you a syntax. It is basically just JavaScript, though we'll be dealing with more of calling of modules and calling of methods. So I just want to show you how to create a simple server in Node.js. So I'm just gonna start by var http is equal to require http. So there we go. And then I'll do http.create okay, so let's sorry about that. Create server, and then I'm just gonna create a function. I'll do function. This function is gonna take a request and a response. So a request, basically sending a request, and a response is basically what's gonna get out from there. So you realize that in this function, I just want to know the response first of all. So I just do response, this parameter dot. I want to write the header to have 200 to mean that it has been accepted, and the content type should be content type should be text over HTML. Text out of HTML. Nice. So we're gonna do that. This one should just be in the, yeah, good. So once we have that, I'm just gonna send out hello world. So we're going to see it on the browser, like that. So once you have that, I want this to listen on port 8080. So these are valid Node.js code. So if I try to just run it, to run this file, I just do node index, and you'll see something like that. It's just waiting for me to go to the browser. So when I go to the browser and just do a local host, I just do a local host 8080. It will give me hello world there, and when I come back to my console, okay, it doesn't really output anything, but it's remaining in this state because it's just a simple web server that is running. So if I close it and I try to reload this, you see the connection has been lost. So we are going to look at the modules in Node.js. So basically, modules, we do have built-in modules and user-defined modules. So okay, just a moment. Yeah. So we are in modules. So in modules, we have the built-in modules and we have the user-defined modules. So the built-in modules, for instance, we have something like the HTTP we talked about. So built-in modules, we have the HTTP, we have the URL, we have the OS. There are a lot of them. We're not gonna talk about them all in this tutorial. We have the file system, but for today we're just gonna look at the file system, HTTP and URL module, and then we are going to build a simple API that is gonna leverage the functions of create, read, update, and delete in a Node.js application. So yeah, that's it. Let us just start. So another thing I would want to show you maybe how you could create your own module and how you could import it. So for instance, let me say this was a test module, JS. So this test module, we actually maybe have something like const, maybe greeting is equal to function, right? So this function, maybe it just consoles log what hello world, right? So in this greeting here, I will just do module dot exports is equal to greeting. So once you've done this, that means that we've already exported it. So what do we do in this case? So I'll just come here and say const greeting is equal to require. Now since this is a user-defined module, you need to start with the with a dot and a forward slash. So like that. So when I save this, and I'll just do it in here. What do we do? If we run this file, not index now, index, it gives me hello world. This hello world is coming from this module here. So we've basically just created a simple module. We've exported it so that it can be used by anybody who tries to call it. So from there, we are going to talk about the inbuilt modules. For the inbuilt modules that we are going to look at, we look at the HTTP module, we look at the file system module, and then we look at the URL module. So we are going to start with the HTTP module. So I'm just gonna create a folder here, name it modules. In this folder, I'll do HTTP node.js. So anything that deals with the HTTP module, we are going to test it there. So what is HTTP module? So HTTP module allows Node.js to transfer data over the hypertext transfer protocol. Just allows data transfer to the hypertext transfer protocol. Like that. So there, to initialize a HTTP module, or rather to just include the HTTP module, we just use what I just showed you here. We use the require to call a module, so it will just be const HTTP is equal to require HTTP. Remember, this side must be in quotes. This side is just the variable that is requiring it. So basically, yeah, remember we started by creating a server. So HTTP module is useful to functions such as creating a web server. So to create a web server, we can use the create server, the create server function. How? Just by accessing it. So to create the server object, we just use the HTTP dot create server like that, and then we do the function. This function takes in request and a response. In this response, we can just write maybe welcome to Node.js. Just what we just did, just showing you that it comes from the HTTP module. And then basically to end the response, you just use the res.end like that. So this end is gonna end the response. And then of course you need to listen to port 8080. So it doesn't really have to be 8080, you can even do 3001. It will still work, but now in this case, now when I'll be running, let's just cd into modules. When I'll be running this file, uh, now I do localhost, but now 3001. Why? Because when I try to do 8080, like that, it won't work. But now when I do 3001, because that is what was there in the port, now it tells me a very nice message here, welcome to Node.js. So yeah, that is just creating a simple web server. So we can also add a HTTP header to our, we can also add a HTTP header to our create server component. This is, it happens in a situation whereby the HTTP server is supposed to be displayed maybe as HTML. You could include an HTTP header with the correct content type, maybe telling it that, my guy, this is HTML. So, oh, let me just reopen this. It's trying to limit me, but I am unlimitable. So okay, let's just continue from where we left. There we go. So to add a HTTP header, you can just do the res.write head. You remember when we were starting, there was something that I did, res.write head. So in this case, we just want to add upon upon the response being successful, we just want to add that the content that is going to be returned to us should just be maybe an HTML. So I'll just do content type, content type. What do we need? We need text. I can just do text out of HTML like that. So once we have that, okay, let's dot right head. Dot right head like that. So once you have that, you're good to go. We can just reload our page. Control C. Yeah. So you can just refresh, nothing will happen. But you realize that now things have changed. Uh, now this page, when you try to look at it in perspective of maybe viewing the page source, it comes to us as HTML. So we can continue. So the first argument of the write method is 200, which means that all is okay, and the second argument is also an object that is containing the response headers. So we can also read the query string. So the query string is now, that is now where this request comes in. So this request is basically used to read the query strings. For instance, maybe you want to write something like, you want to, let's just maybe upon running this application, you could just console.log the request object, right? Log rec, so that you can see what is really contained in this other parameter. So when I just Control C and I run it again, I come and refresh my browser. This time round, you see this is what is contained in the request object. So it is basically something very huge. So here we want to see maybe just the URL. So I can just do rec.url like that. So when I refresh again, okay, I have to command C. So I'm going to install a dependency here called NodeMon, so that when I just save things, I don't need to be closing and opening again. I think that would be nicer. So I'll just go back and then I'll do npm install dash dash save dev nodemon. So this, as a save dev nodemon installs, we could look at, yeah, we could look at something here. For instance, now we could try to, yeah, so I'll just cd back to the modules, and then I'll do nodemon. Instead of now node, I'll do nodemon http node. Okay, it's not coming out. It's okay. cd nodemon modules http node.js. Okay, something is wrong somewhere. I'm going to look at it. Let me try resetting the shell. It's okay. Let's just continue with the node. I'm going to look into it. So I'll just cd modules there, then I'll say node http node. So once we have that, I want to just do a response to write. I just do a response maybe to write the URL of the request, right? That's right. Then I'll do request.url. So there we go with that. Then I just start again, go to the browser. This time round, you see, welcome to Node.js, of course, but now when I try to say something like maybe users, you realize that when I press enter, it tells me users, maybe, so anything in the URL, it's being written there. So maybe one like that. So yeah, so that is basically what is happening. What is happening with the URL module. So it can also read the query string. Um, we can also split the query string using the URL module. So for instance, we could say HTTP, require HTTP, and then I'll just do this one, though we are going to learn it next. Once URL is equal to require URL like that. So here I'm just going to do create a variable. I could create that variable here. So I'll do var URL is equal to, var q, just a query, is equal to URL. What's wrong with my machine? URL dot pass. So what are we passing? Direct request dot URL, and then we just give it a true, and then we say dot query that way, and then I'll do maybe var what, var txt is equal to Yeah, so let me just console first of all what this will give us. Console.log. Just want to console.log q, or we could just okay, res.write q. So when I save this file and I restart my server like that. So when I go to the browser, okay, there we go. There is a typo somewhere. Okay, let me just comment on that. Let's use console. It's okay. So I'm just going to refresh like that. So you realize that it is giving us something like just an object users. It is giving us an object, but we can't really read whatever is inside. But maybe if we could use something like Ajax, we should be able to see it in the console. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the URL node, the URL module. So I'll move to the URL module. So in the URL module, basically I'm just going to create another file here and do url.js like that. So this one also, when calling it, I'll just say var URL is equal to where URL. So once we have that, so the URL module, it just splits up a web address into more readable parts. So you can just start with we have many functions of URL. Like for example, we can try passing a URL, and it will return an object with each part of address as properties. So let's start by passing a URL. So here we're going to just do a var address is equal to http localhost 8080 default php default.php. We have a query there. Year is equal to 2017, and month is equal to February, like that. So once you have something like that, I just do var q is equal to url.pass address 2, like that. Then I just going to console.log q. So this one, let me just shut down this server for now. So just say node URL. So okay, it's addr. So this is our URL module. Once you've passed it, we have the protocol using http/s are true. It has no authentication. The host is localhost 8080. The port is 8080. The host name is localhost. The hash is null. Then the search query is this year, 2017, month, February. Yeah, then the path name, we have the default PHP, the path. we have that, and the href, we have that. So these are properties that you can basically just access them. Uh, you can access them maybe as if you are accessing an object in JavaScript. So now we know how to pass the query string, and in the previous chapter we have learned how to make Node.js behave as a file server. So we want to try combining the two and serve the file requested by the client. So we are going to create two HTML files and save them in the same folder as our Node.js files. So we're going to have something like summer.html, and of course we are going to have something like winter.html. So once you have something like that, just create a boilerplate here, name this one summer, and save. Create another. Okay, this was the one supposed to be summer. Summer, save, and this one will be winter. Also save. So once you've done that, we want to create a Node.js file that opens the requested file and returns the content to the client. If anything goes wrong, it throws a not found error. So that brings us to the file system module. So basically, we're going to create a file system module. Before we begin, I just show you file system JS. So we have that. Um, I'm just gonna import all of them for HTTP is equal to require HTTP, and then we have sorry, and then we have for URL equal to require URL, and then we have where now the file system which I need to talk about in the next chapter is equal to require file system, like that. And then we're just going to create our server just the way we did. So do http create server. So here it's going to take a function. This function is going to have a request and a response. So in a response, if you do something like that, then I'll do var q equal to URL dot pass the request with URL, and this is true, like that. And then I'll give out the file name. Where file name is equal to uh, we'll just do a dot there and just join it with the q dot path name. You remember that object of the URL, when you look at the path name, we find it here. So in our case, according to the URL, this was the path name. So yeah, but in this case now we are going to pass the URL in our server, see how it behaves. So we are then going to read file. Path name is a property, not a method. We're going to just read file. Uh, just going to read file name, and then do function error as a first parameter, and the next parameter is a successful information. There we go. So once we have that, um, once we have that, we're going to do this. If we have an error, then we just want to write that error. Let's just deal with the error first of all. So I'll just do res dot writehead, res dot writehead for which means that the content was not found. So I'll just say content type, content type, type. This text text over HTML. Then we have just return the res dot end not found. So if there was no error, this code is going to be ignored. So just comment there in case everything was right. Then what happens in that case? I'll just say res dot writehead to add the header. In that case, we'll say 200 now, and the content type we want to deliver will be content type. Content type is just text over HTML like that. So just do res dot write the data. And I'll just return res dot end. So what should we end? Just an empty method like that. So this code we want to make sure it listens to 880 or maybe 8000, whichever you like can be placed there. So I'll just do localhost localhost 8000. Okay, I didn't stop it. Let me just stop it. Node file system .js. Invalid left hand side in assignment. Oh, I saw that line 7 here is supposed to be a plus. Good. Let's try again. Alright, so when we try to refresh this page, it tells us not found, but when I do something like summer.html, summer HTML is served. When I do something like winter.html, winter is served. So that is basically what the summer and the winter does. So from there, we can talk more about the file system module. So let me just comment this simple server because using file system. So the file system module, it basically allows you to work with the file system on your computer. So you can just say file system allows you to work with the file system on your computer, like that. So to initiate it, of course, you just have to require the file system. These ones I can also just comment them. We now don't need them here. Okay, let me just comment everything. So I'll just put a new one here where fs is equal to require fs, like that. So this one you've already included the file system module as a core module. So the file system can read files, it can create files, it can update files, delete files, and rename files. So the first thing we need to do, we need to read files. So to read files, um, we just have a method here to read files. For instance, we have the HTML files that we just created there, and we want to read them. What do we need to do? We can just include our HTTP because we want to. Okay, we can just do something like maybe uh, fs the true file. Let me just do this. Okay. Var HTTP is equal to require HTTP like that, and then we want to just create another server, http dot create server, like that. So this server will do function rec response. Okay. So the request, the response, under there we could do paste the free file, create file. Just have something like maybe summer.html, like that. And then what do we need? Just a function which has an error in the data. So basically, when we do that, we just do res write it 200 content. Okay, let us just focus on the file system. I think we already went through that. So let me just, sorry about that. Let me just start again. So to read file, I'm just gonna say something like fs.read file. So to read file, I'm just going to do something to do with maybe the summer.html, function error data. If there's an error, we just console.log the error. Else, you can just do console.log the data within the file. So let's just see what this is going to output. I think this will make it easier to understand. So I'll just close this and try to run it again. So you realize that it treats it as a buffer. So uh, this is how it's gonna read it, but there's a way that there's something I'm supposed to do to make it read it as a plain HTML file. Let me see. Um, all right, just a moment. Okay, okay, let me just do that research. I'm getting back to you before the lesson ends. So let's go to the next thing, which is uh, creating a file. So to create a file, to create a file, to create a file, basically what you need to do there is to just do something like fs dot append file. So what do you want to append? You want to append maybe something like my new file one .txt. Under there we just say hello, maybe hello world. So this file also has a callback function error, in case there's an error there. So if there's an error, we just show that error. Otherwise, console.log file created successfully. Save that file. So when we run this file again, it tells us file created successfully, and then you notice the my new file.txt with the hello world there. So we also have the fs.open function, which takes the flag as the second argument. So if the flag is w, it means it's for writing. And if a file does not exist, an empty file should be created. So you could also create the file using this method here. For example, let's just go back to file system. Just comment this. We could do fs dot open. So I'll just say maybe new file 2.txt, and then it's made for writing, and then function maybe error and a file. So what do we need to do in this function? If you have an error, just roll the error. Else console.log saved like that. So we're going to just run that file. Okay, I saw where that happened. But you notice that even though there was an error, the file has already been created. Here it is. Uh, so yeah, so the write file method replaces the specified file and content if it exists. If the file does not exist, a new file containing the specified content could also be created. So we also have a function to update files. For instance, the append file that we just did there can be used to uh, update a file. So the write file can also be used to update a file. For instance, like then we have the delete files. So we have a function to delete a file. Uh, delete a file. So to delete a file, we just use that method of unlink fs.unlink. Then my new file 2.txt, like that. Function as a callback function. So this function takes in a request and a response. Not really a request and a response, but an error. So if we have an error, just throw like that. This error should be in bracket. So once we have that, we can just console.log file deleted. So we want to delete this my new file 2.txt. I want to see it disappear. So when I run this again, let me just comment this first of all. So when I run this one, it tells us file deleted and we cannot see it. Once again, we can also rename files. We can also rename file. To rename a file, we just do fs.rename, fs.rename. Which file do you want to rename? Maybe the my new file one, file one dot txt. What do you want to rename it to? Maybe rename file, like that. So this one is gonna take a function with a parameter also, which is an error. So if we have an error, we just throw the error. Else, you can just console.log file rename. So we have that for the rename file. So basically, that is all with the file system. So the second last thing we're going to look at will be we're going to look at the npm. So what is npm? npm is basically just a node package manager. npm is a node package manager. Um, it allows us to manage packages, install packages, and it also contains all the files that you need for a module. So basically, you could download a package by just doing, let me just get a txt file, let me even write here. So an npm basically just a node package manager. So for instance, you could do things like maybe downloading a package. You just use npm install. To delete a package, you use npm install. To You could also use a package to use an npm package. For instance, you could use, let's just demonstrate. So for instance, we could just cd this way, install something like npm, maybe install uid. So we are going to install the uid will be installed. So to use these, maybe somewhere like here, I'll just do const uid is equal to require uid. So you find it that it's already there. So uid is basically just for generating unique user IDs, just as the name. So node npm has various functions. So from there we move to our last thing, which is the events. We talk about events. So under events, we are going to look at, let me just write somewhere here. So events basically, uh, we know that Node.js is a perfect solution for event-driven applications. So every action on a computer is an event, like when a connection is made, when a file is opened. So basically, it can fire events like a read stream object or opening and closing a file. So for instance, we could do something like, we have something like a simple, maybe a read stream. So I could just say maybe const file system is equal to require file system, and then I'll do const var maybe rs is equal to file system dot create read stream uh, demo file dot txt, and then now to access that event, so I'll just do rs dot on to mean that when now that opens, so we have the open event is fired, then we have a function. So we have a function here that tells us to just write something on the console. Uh, the file has been opened. So yeah, then we have the events module. So Node.js also. So when we run this, let's just run this. Let's just run these cd modules. Node events. Okay, so that file is not there. What about my new file one? Let's use my new file one. New file one. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, so it tells us the file has been opened. So that is just an event that has been fired. So we could also use the event modules to fire events. So I'll just comment this and say var events. equal to require events like that. Then for events emitter is equal to new events dot events emitter event emitter, and then I just do that. So the object is basically is to assign event handlers to your own events. So to fire an event, we just use the emit. So for instance, I could have an event handler. Got equal to a function console.log I hear a screen, something like that maybe, and then I just do events emitter on screen. What happens? My event handler now should just come on as a method, and then now I just emit the screen. So basically we have that. Let me just save. So to run this file, so basically we have the event module which has been imported, and then an event emitter object has been initialized, and then this is just a function that is to be executed in case a screen is made, and then we have the emit method to just emit the screen. So when I run this file, just do node events, you see I hear a screen. So it's as simple as that. So basically that is all about the basic concepts of Node.js. So anybody having a question before I start sharing, before I start creating our simple project? Anybody? Uh, so I can see there is no question. So we're going to move into the next phase, which will be creating a simple API. So let me just plug it in. Just a moment. There we go. Okay. So I just do that. Hmm. Just a moment. Any question? You are free to ask any question. So information. Something here. Okay, okay, fine. So let's continue then if there are no questions. So I'm just gonna reshare my screen once again and show you something cool here. So I will, okay, where is it? So I'll just do with a new banner, simple project. So yeah, we are moving to our simple project. So I'm just going to share my screen. So to share my screen, I'm just gonna create a new folder outside here, new folder, then do project. So I'll just cd into project, project, and then I'm going to do npm init, create our files. Once you're done, I guess we have that package.json. So I'm just going to create an index.js there, and then I'm gonna begin coding. So I'm going to use those modules we've learned to create a simple crude application. So we begin. So here I'll just start with const http is equal to require http. Then I'm gonna go to const fs is equal to require uh, fs file system, and then I'm gonna go to const url is equal to require url. So once I have that, I'll do I'll do something here. I just want to create a file inside this project and name it data.json. So the app will basically be creating, reading, and updating and deleting data on this file. So in this data.json, uh, I'm going to create a simple bracket like that. So we go to we want to start from, first of all, creating the files. So we go back to index.js. So our first function will be basically this app holds the city and the states. So what does that mean? So it stores like just the city and where it is, just a city and where it is. So the city is basically the keys to be used there. So the first function, we are going to add city, we are going to read city, we are going to read city, we are going to read a single city, we are going to update city, and we are going to, of course, delete city. So we're going to start by adding a city first of all. So under here, we're just going to say function. Okay, fine. I think that's okay. Function add city. So this is gonna take the city and it's gonna take the state like that. So we're gonna do const cities is equal to. So before we even go that far, we want to read from this file. Remember, we need to read from this file to know what is inside. So in that case, we're just going to create a function here. Read data from file. I hope you can see my screen. So let me just comment that when I'm coming back to you. So here I'm just gonna try function read data from file like that. Then what happens in this case? I'm just gonna try. Then I'll just say const data is equal to read file sync. You want to read it synchronously. So we'll do data file path, data file path, file path, the file path, and to be UTF-8 like that. So the data file path I forgot to put it here. So data file path is equal to now the data.json .json like that. So we're gonna okay. Let me just move a little fast. So anything that has a try must have a catch. This one you learned in JavaScript like that. So under catch, I'll just say return, not really there, but under here, I'll just say return JSON.parse data like that. And then for the error, I just want us to console log that error that is preventing us from reading data from this file. So once we have that, we can also return an empty object. So yeah, so apart from that, we also need a function to write data to file. So I'll just do function write data to file. So this function is just basically gonna take one parameter, which is the data. Where is this data coming from? We're going to find out. So we're going to try every try. Sorry about that. Every try must have a catch like that. So fs dot write file sync. What do we need here? Data file path, JSON dot stringify. JSON stringify the data. Then we have the Okay. Data null under 2. There we go. And then we just want to console log uh, data written, okay, to file success, just like that. So once you have that, for the error, here also we just want to console the error. We see what kind of error is that is preventing us to write to this file. Log error. So once we have that, we are now going back to our add city. So cities, let me just uncomment it, is equal to, of course, read data from file. So once you have that, cities, city, that means that the parameter of city is going to be our key, is equal to a new object is going to be created here with the name, taking the city, and state, taking the state, like that. And then we just write data to file. Just write data to file cities. So basically, it's fetching data from the file, changing it into an object. Then once it has been changed to an object, it updates the object, and then it just updates everything in the file back. So at the end of the day, a city becomes added. So to test this, if it is working, I can just do add city Kisumu and Kenya. Is it Kenya or Kenya? Why not find out? Let's see if it is working. So I just do a node index. All right. Where was that? I think that is in line 11. This was supposed to be capital JSON. Good. Let's try again. With data returned to file success, and if we look at our data.json, we find that Kisumu. They are so far so good. We are on the right track. So we also need a function to get all cities. Function get all cities. So this function will just read data from file, and this way all cities will be gotten. And then we have function uh, get single city. So this is under reading a city. Now to get a single city, I'll just do function get single city. So to get a single city, all right, it needs a parameter. What's the parameter? City name. So, yes, so we do that, and then cities is equal to const cities is equal to, let me just remove that, const cities is equal to read data from file, and then upon reading data from file, we're just gonna return cities, city name, or if we don't find that, we just do return so I can just call that function get single city. I know it's working. So control that. Okay, let me just console it. Console.log that, close it. Yeah, so that is just the function of get single city. So let's just move pretty fast. We have a function to update city and a function to delete city. So I just do them function update city, function update city, also city name. So what happens here? Whatever happens here, first of all we read data from file. Then after reading data from file, we see if cities dot city name, in if cities with the city name exists. In that case, cities city name that state. That state is equal to new state, and then uh, we just return back the data to the file. Data to file cities, and we are done. So we return true, and if that didn't happen, we just return false. And we're done. Then we have a function to delete a city. Function delete city. Cities is equal to read data from file. Data from file method, and then if cities, if cities, if cities, city name, if cities, city name, then you just delete it from the object there. So delete city name, and then write data to file. Write data to file cities, and then of course return true. Return true. Everything did not go well. Return false. So we're done with creating our cities. So we have the most of the work in the server based. So whatever is going to happen, so we're going to create our server. So I'll just do const server. Server equal to um, create server http create server. It has a request and a response and that. So here I just do some things here. Result.status code is equal to 200. Then I'll go to const request URL is equal to URL plus request URL 2. Then if if request URL if request URL dot path name is equal to cities and request that method is equal to get. That get is capital G. Then what should happen in this case? Cities is equal to get all cities. Once you've gotten all cities, you need to just press the right head 200 and then type then type. Oh, it should be in quotes. Content type application over JSON. Over JSON. Okay, why is it giving me? Oh, I forgot that. Sorry. Okay, nice. And then I will just do rest.end JSON md5. Okay, we're done with that. Let's see. Let's see if we add rec URL the path name equal to is equal to cities and of course request that method is equal to post and request dot headers content type is equal to application over JSON. Application here JSON and block body equal to that, and then replace that on data. Now the event part, then what should happen? Uh, so on data it should be chunk do that. Okay, then body plus equal to chunk dot to string dot to string like that. So we also have request dot on end, request dot on end. It is something like this. Just a moment. Yep. That one will take name is equal to JSON plus body, and then add city name and state. Add city name state, and then request it. Okay. So one. Type content type over JSON, and then just do the statement. Press that and JSON JSON.25 MSG message city has been added successfully. So okay, fine. That's a little much to handle, but I guess you're gonna look at it closely and check on it as if uh, rec.url request the URL, yeah, URL.partner is equal to that starts with city. City. Then this is what is supposed to happen in this case. And the method is equal to get. Okay, fine. Method is equal to get. Then in that case, this one will happen. So on city name, is equal to city name is equal to ref.url.partname.split. In that case, where I split split. I think it is this one. So yeah. So basically we have that. So due to time, I'm just gonna move a little bit faster. So I'll just give you methods for creation and viewing. Then the rest I'm going to show you the complete code in the GitHub repository. So city name is equal to that, and then let body is equal to that. Okay, fine. Then let's flip that called city. City is equal to get city name, get single city name, and then if city we have price dot rated. This is rated. We have 200. On Dani we have content type application of a JSON. Content type application over JSON. So once you have that, just do res.end and JSON modify city like that. So once I have that, then save this. So let's just try until here to see if this web server is working. So we'll just listen to transport. go to process.png, port, or maybe 8000 server.listen, listen, um, port, console.log, server running on port. So there we go. So let's try compiling this until here if it is running. So yeah, it is running. So when I go to our file and do localhost 8000, okay, let's just refresh this and I do cities. I expect to see something. Let us just load it out. It's taking up its time. Localhost 8000. Okay, let's try accessing it in our Postman. Hmm, it's taking its time. I don't know why it's taking a lot of time to load, but I think the logic is okay. Okay, let me try it this way. So when I try to load it, let's try fetching it using our Postman 280. Let's send this on. Connection refused. Okay, fine. Let's just connect it. Okay, let's try once again. Sending now. It's taking a lot of its time to load. So, okay, just a moment. I fix it. So just a moment. I fix it. Okay. So we have okay. Let's see. Okay. So I've been able to fix it. Um, we have we want to try. So here it's telling me not found. When I do cities and try to send, it gives me the Kisumu that I just made. And now when I try to do the body, need a form data here with the method of post. So we have the name, give it Kisumu, maybe Siaya, uh, state, give it maybe Nyanza like that. So send this data, tells us not found. Okay, Nyanza, yeah. So when you send this data, here you go. Okay, fine. Uh, when you send, it just tells us not found. But now when we go back to cities, get and we send, it just brings for us Kisumu. So anyway, we are going to so that was all about the project. So as you can see, if I want to fetch a single city, I'll just do Kisumu. I'll just do Kisumu there, and it will bring for me the Kisumu city. So yeah, so this is all with the API. So there's some things I need to go and fix. So let me just fix some bugs in the code, and then I'll send them to you in my GitHub repository. Once again, uh, it was nice having you into this class. I hope we shall meet again in the next one. So without wasting too much time, I would like to thank you all for attending. Um, yeah, so have a good evening.